I have this little 6-tray open country dehydrator that I got at Bass Pro Shop a couple years ago that I use for tomatoes and jerky. And this video is about dehydrating Principe tomatoes. Now, we grow them every year. They're Italian sun drying tomato from Baker Creek Seeds, and they just have a great flavor and just so much better than a cherry tomato. So we like to grow them instead of the cherries, and then we dehydrate a couple batches of them every year. Now, it's a real easy thing to do. We just we cut them in half, and the real big ones we'll cut into quarters, and you just spread them out on the dehydrator trays so that there's some space between them. And it's just a matter of filling the trays up, and then drop another tray on top of it, and then try not to line anything up directly, and just fill the next tray and leave plenty of room for air. Now, these are supposed to be a sun drying tomato, and they dry pretty good doing it this way, but someday I'm hoping to build a solar dehydrator that'll make this job a little bit easier. But in the meantime, this is all I have to use. So, it takes a couple minutes to slice up the tomatoes and just stack them on the trays. But it is well worth the time. We like to take these dehydrated ones and then rehydrate them and chop them up and cook them up with some butter and olive oil and put it on pasta in the middle of the winter with a little bit of cheese on top of it. And they just taste like they came fresh from the garden when you do that. So we feel that it's really, well spent time dehydrating these. So basically, you just, load it up. And then what we do is it's a very noisy unit. So what we wind up doing is putting it in a spare bedroom just to, let it run. And then after 12 hours, what I'll do is I'll flip the trays, take them off, and then put the top ones on the bottom. This really helps to dry them a lot more evenly and in a shorter period of time. So, I let it go for the first 12 hours. Then I'll flip the trays and turn it back on for another 12 hours. And then at that point in time, we'll check it. And this batch needed actually another 2 hours after that to be dry. And once they're all dried, I just, knock them off the trays. And what I do is I usually put them in a plastic bag. I've heard that you should let them just sit in the bag and relax before you vacuum pack them. So I'll put them in a bag for, overnight or something like that. And then the next day, all I'll do is I'll just, take the seal of meal and I'll make up a bag. And you just pull out the plastic and you just seal one side of it. And then put the tomatoes into it. And by now they're really supposedly equalized or whatever you call it. I don't know, but they say it makes them stay better. So, and then once you get them in the bag, you just stick it back in the seal and meal machine, and that will pull a vacuum on it and seal it good. Now, what we usually do once they're sealed like this is we'll just put a date on them. And we throw them in the freezer. We used to put them in the closet, but we found that we would forget about them. So what we do is we throw them in the freezer and put them on our list so we always know that they're there. And they'll stay for a couple of years in the freezer like this with no problem. So, if you ever get a chance to try these Principe tomatoes, I really would recommend, try growing some of them instead of cherries because they really are a wonderful tomato. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.